Hello. Happy Friday. It is Ronan Elliott. I don't know what my computer just did there. It like glitched. Coming at you with yet another video where I, um, you know, ramble for about at least 10 minutes about whatever just kind of comes to my mind spontaneously. If you are new here, thank you for coming by. If you are coming back and haven't subscribed and just like to lurk, that's also cool. Like I have said in other videos, everything that I put on here is first and foremost for me. This is another form of therapy in my life. It's just another way that I'm able to process and understand myself and the experiences that I have in this life. I'm an external processor, so a lot of times I just talk about stuff and it helps me get it in a way. And I guess to be completely truthful, I do sort of have an idea of what I want to say. I did want to speak today a little bit about, what's been going on energetically in the world, which I know everybody has been experiencing on some level for sure, as well as some, I guess, idea that I've had about thoughts on exile, exile of the mind specifically. I don't exactly know what I want to say, but I've just really been thinking about that lately. So, without further ado, I've got some blueberry chamomile tea in my mom cup. It's one of these stupid like Ray Dunn cups, which I absolutely hate. But I think I actually bought this as a gift for my former partner's mother, and she like complained about it as soon as we gave it to her. She said it was too big for anything she would ever drink out of. So I was like, okay, you're welcome, and I guess I will use it. So now that I'm a mom, I kept it for myself, and even though it's ugly as fuck, I drink out of it because I like having a fair amount of tea to balance off my coffee and the other things that I consume throughout the day. And in complete truth, these past couple days, I've actually been feeling pretty good. This morning, I've been feeling a bit anxious for reasons I'm not quite ready to fully disclose, but I will eventually. I mean, my whole point in making this channel is to be authentic and transparent. Like, that's my fucking shit in life, So I never want to present myself inauthentically, misrepresent myself as much as I can, obviously. None of us are perfect, so I know I'll fuck it up regardless. But, I really do strive to tell people things, and something that I've had to learn is to temper that. Not because I don't want to share it, but because I very much understand in this whole spiritual process that sometimes talking about the things going on in my life, the next move that I may be making, certain forces out there, forces meaning like people who are maybe not energetically aligned with me, maybe on a lower vibration or just basically negative, not good people, it gives them access to me in ways that I don't want them to have access to me. So I'm learning to kind of temper that and wait to say everything and not just word vomit as I think I have throughout most of my life. So there's definitely a lot of things coming up in the future, things I'm working on that I'm just not quite ready to disclose, but I will say that they are happening and I'm grateful for them, truly. I have been feeling energetically. There was a period of death and rebirth that, I feel these things within myself, and obviously one of my issues in life is, to do with my Taurus North Node. I lack value. I lack like my own value system from previous lifetimes where other people impose their value systems upon me in exchange for like the services that I provided, mostly esoteric, healing, magic services in previous lifetimes. And in this life, I'm really trying to do the work and establish my values. So a lot of times when I feel these things, I tend to personalize them and think that they're only happening to me, and in some level invalidate them because, well, if they're only happening to me, then it just must be me, and it's personal. It's not them, it's me. But something that I found in a lot of the people that I follow, Ann Taylor King, Martika Marie, Indigo Light, Higher Self Channel, just so many different sources that I I don't consult like 100%. I mean, everything that I decide comes from myself, but I've been finding in these past couple of days a lot of resonance and a lot of confirmation of the things that I've been going through. Because I was going through a period of, I guess, death and rebirth, like a mini death and rebirth, like we all do multiple times throughout our lives in various stages. And I thought it was just me. I thought I was just being depressed, but I have gotten better in those situations in the past where I would like shame myself for feeling that way and then, drink or do drugs to try to battle the emptiness or the apathy. I have since developed healthier coping skills in my life and self-love where I really want to honor the feelings that I have in every moment, even when they're not ideal and they're not wanted on some level. So I really was giving myself permission in the past couple weeks when I was feeling low to feel low, and to do what I needed to do to take care of myself and just be instead of always doing, which is very much ingrained in us in our Western capitalist culture. So, that's something that has been newly adopted for me. I think I even grew up with a Taurus, and my father. And everything was always move, 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 do. That's what he did every day. He never rests. He still doesn't. He's almost 70, and the man is just, for the most part, unstoppable. I mean, obviously, none of us are getting out of this world alive, but he has a will like no other. And I love him, obviously. He's my dad, and he's a man of great integrity. And he is on a tangent for a bit, but he is probably, for good or bad, part of the reason I've struggled with men in my life, because he set the bar so fucking high. And they're really, the sad truth is, in this day and age, there are not a lot of men like him left. Or if there are, I certainly don't know how to pick them. So I've pretty much given up on men for that reason. And I think a lot of women have. A lot of my friends lately, we're all sort of reformed heterosexuals. Like, we've all just gotten tired of men, and there's always been this queerness in us that it's like, I don't want to do this anymore with you all. Like, you're not on my level. You're of a different species, basically, and I'm just tired of trying to make it work with somebody that can't meet me halfway. And so, I have been talking to, not a ton really, because I'm just not that sort of person, really just like one person in particular for a while, another queer person. And it's been so refreshing to engage with them because it's really not even romantic per se. We have been talking for months now, and it doesn't have to go anywhere. Like, we're genuinely trying to get to know each other to be friends. And if something else develops in time, great. But there isn't like this rush, whereas with men in my past, there was a lot of sexualization, a lot of violation. There was rape, there was assault, which confused me for most of my life, because I sort of convinced myself to believe those were the things I was supposed to do and were supposed to happen to me, and just really tried to normalize a lot of abusive and traumatic situations. And I'm kind of just over that. And in realizing that, I'm seeking out like reciprocal relationships, mutually respectful relationships, people that actually value me and don't just want me. I'm tired of being wanted by someone. I'm not a fucking prize. I'm not an object, But to get back to my topic, I mean, a lot of how I was feeling, I just kind of found out by random chance, but not even. I mean, this is the universe telling me, like, Ronan, believe yourself, because I was feeling this way and doubting it, and then I'm finding that energetically, in terms of, like, this Schumann resonance and the solar flares and all of the energy that's coming down to the earth is very much in alignment with these sorts of grieving processes or re-grieving, death and rebirth, just, not quite complete like we want to believe. I think for me, I've always wanted to think like, not just happiness, but like that eventually there is a place you get to, like, as a person where you no longer need to evolve, you just stop. And like that really, that's not life. Like, life, you should be forever evolving and bettering yourself if you're doing it right, for lack of a better word. There are plenty of people that don't do that stay stagnant, that stay the same. And it's pretty much just a waste of life, because that's all they're ever going to do is go in circles chasing their own tails. And I'm just forever trying to better myself in every way possible. And sometimes I fail at it. I can fail a lot, but it doesn't stop me from trying and trying and trying and trying again. And lately I've really tried to be mindful of just how fucking far I've come and how fucking amazing I am. Like, beyond just my physical hotness, like my resiliency, my strength, my intelligence, my kind heart, my openness, there are so many wonderful things about me that I think I've only ever been able to internalize those things that were negative, those things that people put upon me and really tried to convince me of in an effort to control me, because I'm an incredibly powerful person, I've come to find, as we all are. But it's a matter of tapping into your true essence to really know that, because if you're always looking at outside people to give you a value system or to give you some sort of self-worth, you're always giving your power to another person, So I no longer desire to need that from other people. I post stuff on my Instagram, for example, a lot of stuff just celebrating me, and some people might say I'm egotistical or I'm cocky or I'm superficial, and that's a lot of projection. And I've even been that person in a past life because I was fucking insecure and I wanted to be like what they were doing, but I couldn't. And so instead of being able to be happy for them, subconsciously I would want to take them down so that they would be on my level. And I'm finally getting to the place of real freedom and comfort in my body where I feel it's my right to say that I'm sexy because I believe I'm sexy, and to say positive things about myself and to really celebrate just how far I've come and to not keep focusing on all of the negative, because so much about the universe is about the energy that you manifest. The universe is energy if it's anything else, and it cannot be created nor destroyed. We all know this if we understand anything about the universe we're living in. And so constantly returning to those negative thought patterns was only ever directing my energy in those negative ways, and then manifesting negative realities, reinforcing those beliefs that I had about myself, whether I intended to do that or not. So I'm very much mindful now about the way that I think about myself and the way that I present myself, and the way that I interact with others too, like my level of integrity, because I don't, more than anything, want to, that's my cat scratching their scratching house. I bought him a little thing. I don't want to lose my integrity. I don't want to lose my dignity. Like those are big things. And I've definitely done that a lot in my life, and it's caused a lot of shame, and shame just fucking brings you down, if you allow shame in. Some people are just in complete denial, but I try to be real. I tend to take on the lion's share of fault with things, and I'm trying to be more balanced about that, and see things like the bigger picture, I guess, is what I'm saying. And I guess to come back around to what I was talking about in terms of, exile mentality, it is sort of that. It's constantly feeling like in my life this narrative that no one understands me, and that I'm constantly on the outside looking in, and forever looking back on my past experiences and retelling them, recreating them, rehashing them in an effort to understand them to some degree, but never actually being in the present moment, because in the present moment I would realize, like, I'm no longer in the past and I am not in exile. But when you're constantly looking backwards at something that is no longer there, then you are the one creating that exile in yourself. You are preventing yourself from all of the abundance and opportunity and beauty of life in the present moment. It's really not about the future or the past. It's about the present. So a lot of my past, I've started to be able to look at it differently, and have a lot of gratefulness for what happened in spite of all the pain, in spite of the abuse, in spite of the things that I did that I wasn't proud of, because at the end of the day, I can see all that it got me now. Like, I can see all of the abundance, all of the gifts, all of the blessings that have come to pass because of all this really shitty stuff, So then I can't constantly look back and be telling this narrative about how bad it was, when the truth is, like, everything is good and bad to a degree, and good and bad are one and the same, if you're into yin and yang and things like that, on a metaphysical level, that there is really no perfection in life. There's always the good and bad. And so I think it's just being able to balance that and really put that in its place and kind of lay it to rest and channel it in a different direction. I think a lot of what I want to write about because I very much believe that and I heard this, it was confirmed to me as well, that when you write about it, you get it outside of yourself. And so I know a lot of the loops that play in my head are really about me needing to put them down on paper and share these stories with people. And I've been struggling to do that, and I've slowly been making progress on this book that I'm writing. But I know until I write this book, until I complete my book and I put it out there for even nobody to read, but until I just do it, these stories will forever live in my head. So it's sort of like I am the solution to my own problem, and I have to keep going forward and writing. And the part where I get stuck in is it brings up a lot of anxiety in me, because I've talked about it before. When in reliving these traumatic events, your brain does not realize they're not happening in the present. So I actively have to coach myself out of realizing that they're not happening now, because my body very physically responds in a way that is fight or flight, is ready to be re-traumatized because it was traumatized at one point. So it is a slow process, and I've had to accept that. I've had to accept that people who are able to just get up and move on from things, that's not a good thing. That's not how life works. I used to shame myself because I just couldn't let it go. But I mean, I'm a human, and I process things, and I hold on to things. I have emotion. And so you can't just let things go that matter to you. You can't just bury them down. I mean, they will eventually come back. So I think allowing myself the time that it takes to get this out of me is really the best thing, and to not think like, oh my God, time is going by, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I always have to come back to the fact that I am blessed to be a mother to the most beautiful child on the planet, in my humble opinion, and that first and foremost, that will always be my priority, my purpose in this life, So everything else, even getting these narratives out, sharing the knowledge that I've gained and the lessons I've learned, will be secondary to raising my child well. Because if I fail her, then I failed, like that is the mark, that is the bar. And I am grateful that I have yet, I will say, I mean, she will be the one to tell me when she's old enough, I have yet to fail her. I've never left her. I've always been with her, and I've always tried to do what's in her best interest, and sometimes to my own detriment, staying in an abusive relationship, trying to convince someone to love and value me because I really wanted her to have a mommy and daddy, but then realizing that I was with somebody that did not love or value or respect me, and it was much better for her to have a mom and dad that are not together and not in love than to be in a very tragic and abusive relationship and to have that as a baseline for how people interact. And my ex-partner would have kept me in that cycle forever because it was to their benefit to just constantly beat me down, suck the energy of, the validation that they had power over my emotions, good or bad. And it would have just deprived my daughter of a mother. And while I think fathers are important because I fucking love my own father, it's mothers that run the world. Mothers are the people that matter. I mean, if at the end of the day, I'm sorry, not sorry, as a mom, as someone that has created a child and held it in my body for 9 months and done every single sacrifice to make sure that she's alive and happy and healthy, you cannot tell me that there's another person in the world that cares more about her than I do. And that's just the truth. And I know that about myself, and I would never let anyone else convince me otherwise. And it could have been very different in the past, that I would have believed somebody, over myself. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's really just been shifting these thoughts of the past and keeping myself in this loop, this self-imposed exile. I've been able to kind of refocus that energy and that purpose of those thoughts so that I'm able to live in the present moment, and I'm able to see what it is I really want. I don't want a community of the people from my past. I don't want a community of people that are victims of narcissistic abuse. I don't want to be retelling the same stories for my whole life. I want to evolve. I want to move on. I want to do something more than I've only ever done in this life. That's the point. That's what we're here to do. This is a school to experiment and to do so many different things. And to hopefully try to do them with a certain amount of integrity and compassion for other people too, because it's also not just about us in this life, so there is that balance of, yeah, you can do it all, but try to do it in a kind way. Don't lie, don't be deceitful, don't be abusive. And, I've definitely suffered that, and I've also been that person, it's been both ways. And so it's forced me to just try to be a bigger person more than I've ever known before. And like to put my pettiness aside and my personal vendettas and things that, that I don't even personally want, but they still exist inside me. And to ultimately always do what's in the best interest of my child, because I never want her to come back and say, well, why didn't this happen? Why didn't that? I always want to be able to say, I allowed for the opportunity. And because it did not happen, that was not on me. Because we're not together, that was not on me. Because they weren't there for your first birthday, that was not on me. Anything they have a problem with, I always want to say, I did my best. I gave the option. I never kept her father from her, and he has now taken a more active role in her life, which I'm happy for her, because I want her to know the love of a father, obviously in a controlled environment, because as my abuser, he showed me that like his priorities will always be himself over the mother of his child, over his own child, because of actions that transpired on the day that our relationship ended, that I'm not yet ready to disclose, but pretty much confirmed, solidified to me in my mind that he is an abuser and is in someone that is in so much denial that they could never admit their own faults. It always has to be the other person. And I've done a lot of admitting what I've done. I have told my parents a lot of the ugly shit I did. Drinking was not a good thing. Drugs was not a good thing. I could be verbally abusive for sure, But a lot of that always stemmed from my own self-betrayal and my own inability to assert my boundaries. If I tried and someone pushed over them, like my ex assaulting me, raping me the first 2 nights we met, when I knew my truth and I knew the actions I took and the words I said not to have sex that night. So it's not questioning myself. It's knowing that my truth is valid. And they may have a different one, but always believing myself over anyone else, always knowing that I know over anyone else. And I haven't been able to always feel that way. And I've always kind of felt like on the outside looking in, stuck in the past, wanting people to understand me. And the more that I begin to understand myself, the less I need the validation from others. And I find energetically things shifting and it's a slow process, and it's not even something I necessarily need, but the more that I model this behavior for myself, first and foremost, the more other people are slowly starting to become aware of it in themselves and to even like follow me or reach out to me. And it's not in like some effort to gain a following or because I want to be a fucking messiah or spiritual leader. I really don't. I don't enjoy any position of leadership. I don't enjoy any kind of real high level of attention. It makes me very anxious and nervous, which is why like these kinds of videos are so beneficial to me, because I can have this level of transparency and authenticity, but in like a way that is safe for me, where I am not, in a public setting. I'm not accessible to a lot of people because energetically I'm a very sensitive, perceptive person. And we all are if we get to that level. I'm not saying this is unique to me, but I have been able to develop this in myself. And so I have to do it on my terms. And a lot of that is making videos and kind of doing a one-way form of communication. And sometimes it helps people. And I think I need to be grateful for the people that are affected positively by these messages. And like the ego always wants to look for more. But what is more? Life is not about more. It's about appreciating what you have. It's about being in the present moment, not always focusing on the past. I don't want to make a career on my past. I want to live in the now. I want to see life with my child now. I want to be in love. I want to love. I want to grow. I want to help people. I want to be a better person. Those are all 100% true things about me at my core, that regardless of other people's perceptions or experiences of me in the past, while they may be valid, they are not who I am, no matter what they assert, because I know who I am at my core, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Nobody else has lived in this body other than me. And I'm really just getting to that place of real acceptance and gratitude. And I'm not perfect by any means. I still fuck up. I still fumble all the time. I still feel nervous. I still get triggered. It's a process. I'm not healed by any means. But I'm on the way. And I'm so grateful. And I just want to be aware in the moment of that and not keep looking back, not keep looking forward, but focusing on the present. And in that, just so many things have been coming to me to confirm that I know what I know, and also to provide me with the opportunities that I've been asking for in time, the things that I truly want and desire. If I were to force them, it would be artificial. But having the patience to allow things to come as they do has given me so much more than I ever was able to gain by force, So that's really where I'm at. It's like 25 minutes now. I said it would be over 10 minutes, so I was not lying. My tea is still hot, but has cooled down some that I can consume it. So I'm going to do that and check on my baby because she went down for a nap and I got a couple texts, so I need to see what that's all about. But thank you to those that watch this. I really appreciate it. It just means a lot knowing that people are watching it, even if you don't like shit or say anything. Like, it's nice. It's nice to know that there are people out there that on some level care about what I have to say. But even if you don't, it doesn't matter because I care about what I have to say. So anyway, I'm gonna go because I've got these texts. But be well, be happy, and be present. Stop living in the past because that's not living at all. So anyway, until next time.